Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 101, Dalmatians, of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Had to. My name is Jeff, and alongside me, once again, as always, is the Briscoes to my Jonathan Gresham. It's Max, everybody. What's going on, buddy?
Things are going well. I mean, to be fair, I have a job. You don't. So very similar to the Briscoes Gresham situation.
Hey, don't they?
And you quit your job, much like Jonathan Gresham tried to do.
They both have jobs currently. We'll get to that. We'll
We'll see.
Hey, man, I think that's something. You lose. One door opens. What is the thing? One door opens. One closes. Yeah, whatever.
One door closes. Another door opens.
Yeah, man, he's too good for that to be the
I
end.
agree.
So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, you could see it there, even on the Tron of 101, the episode cover art. A lot to talk about, including the Briscoes, Gresham, the Bandidos. You guys have some comments about BFG location that's been somewhat revealed, it seems. And then BFG Series, a question of Deonna leaving, and so much more. Definitely thought it was a great episode of Impact. But before we get into that and everything else, Max, I got to ask and maybe we already touched on it, what are you looking forward to talking about?
Well, I am looking forward to talking about the Gresham situation, definitely. I'm also looking forward to talking about another Chris Bay and Ace Austin Bullet Club win.
That W.
2 in a row for Chris Bay after losing Cleveland Browns record 17 in a row. I think he was like 16 at the time, but he finally picked up 2 wins in a row. So, and obviously, I think everybody who watched Impact excited to talk about the main event. So.
Yeah, for sure. We could do a whole show on that alone. But before we get there, let's see how we got here. I don't know. Here's Pow. Here's Pow
rankings.
Yo, it's been a day. Let's just get to those power rankings. I'm gonna drink a little bit more, and we'll continue this. Just a sec. Number 10, Tag Team Champions, Team Ragnarok. Number 9, HBIC, Mia Yim. Number 8, Honor No More. Number 7, World Champion, Jordan Grace. Number 6, 13-0, Masha Slamovich. Number 5, World Champion, Josh Alexander. Number 4, Tag Team Champions, Bullet Club. Number 3, Perazo and Green, Vexed. Number 2, X Division Champion, Mike Bailey. Number 1 contender, Alex Shelley, and the Motor City Machine Guns. Those were your Go Power Rankings. You could catch on Turbo Tuesdays.
Pow Goer Rankings.
Damn, making me hungry now, that Pow talk. Does that make sense? T. Hughes, 1990, what's up, buddy? Parkside 7, Millard, what's going on? Before we went off the rails, what I was getting at was, here are the power rankings. You could catch every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Obviously, that was my voice today. Our buddy Datila, who you could catch as the host of the GoGoPowerRankings Tuesdays, 7 p.m. with Burt Macklin, is in Mexico right now, enjoying that, living it up. So I was the substitute there, but you know, there could be a argument for who could be number 1. Obviously, Alex Shelley is the forefront. Motor City Machine Guns, you win together, you lose together. And no loss out of house. No win out of house either. So, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little concerned that our World Heavyweight Champion has fallen down to 5.
And 7.
It's starting a trend that I was not happy with
Yeah.
when Kenny Omega was disrespected by the Power Ranking Committee. So I'm hoping that it doesn't stay that way too long for Josh.
Yeah, but if you want to make not Max, but if you want to make a change, all you have to do is write us. You can write us at TNAIWChannel. Shout out to Io in the team there, or at Burt Macklin 11. Talk to Burt specifically. He'll get you in there. It's really simple. You're in the chat. You don't have to talk to us. Don't have to do anything with us. Just every Thursday after the show, between there and Saturday night, put in your top 10. Mute us and move on. So if you want to make a change, if you're sick of seeing Josh and Jordan slip down the rankings, hit us up, enjoy it, and there you go. It's about making an impact in these rankings. All right. But let's move on to how we got there a little bit. Let's get into the Impact on Access TV review. So there's obviously a lot we want to talk about. We'll talk about some of that in Hot Topics, but we'll try to integrate some stuff here as we go through the review board. And then, of course, give you the poll results of what you guys thought of the episode. So we start off with BTI because we always start off with BTI. It is its own separate show. And it always has a banger of a match. In this case, I wouldn't say that, but it was Laredo Kid getting a pin here over Johnny Swinger. And the point I say is everyone knows my love for Johnny Swinger. In my bro-man dream of Swinger and Dice winning the tag team titles at some point, right? Underdog, they can hold it for a day. I don't give a shit. But that moment needs to happen. But Swinger needs to stay out of the singles. He's got to stay out the singles. Man, I said about Rhino, and I love Rhino. It's hard for me as an ECW kid, but I'm going to say the same for Johnny. All respect. But number 2, we get right into the show itself. Motor City Machine Guns are entering the Impact Zone. There was a really cool feature. I don't even know if it was here, if I'm getting it tangled, if it was here or as a online ad. But really cool video package to hype this, and great job. We'll get to it, obviously, at the end extensively. But from the commentating team to the video packages, everything about this main event that we're going to get to felt big deal. And it delivered.
Yeah. I mean, it did. I mean, I'm going to hold off on talking about it because I want to talk about it at the end. So yeah, I'll let you move on.
Heard. Next up was another nice, and what's going to be a trend. Now, there's going to be a little thing I have about some of the packages and segments, but as far as production goes, the game of stepping up, I have no clue if it goes to anything with them buying Gravitas or what, even if they, I don't even, who knows comes with that, right? With that deal. But either way, it's been looking good, Impact, especially these last 2 weeks. Really cool looks here. They're upgrading everyone's intros and entrances and making them feel like a bigger deal. Kind of a No Mercy feel, right? They mix the video with the person. I dig them, man. Everyone has their own, and that's, you're creating characters and brands, and I dig that. But with that being said, Vexed, I keep want to say VXT, but Vexed, Deonna and Chelsea with their own music, their own look, their own tag team here. Finally, full circle, Max. We finally get stage 1 of what we've been talking about into Impact Zone, which we'll be bringing back shortly because there's a lot of changes going on with these depth charts. But we get it officially here. They defeat Yim and Grace. We talked about it. They didn't have to do it with having a little bit of any controversy. They could have just lost the match with that, just not being a tag team. And this showed it, and it gave Vexed a great win.
No, I think it did. And I'm happy the direction they're moving because Deonna, she's too big a name to not be in a title picture, but I think it's having her in the tag title picture is a change of pace from what she had been in as opposed to just Deonna constantly going for the Knockouts title. So I like that they're officially a tag team. They're kind of locked in there.
Yeah. I agree, and we'll obviously hit some more on them. That's why we're a little bit holding back, but keeping that production up. And the reason I mention that is because I feel like, especially after the survey that went out, it kind of confirmed that they're looking to figure out what is Impact. Maybe they know and they kind of have an idea where they want to go, but they want to make sure you guys want to go along for the ride. And it seems like they're putting a lot more thought into each shot compared to it being just a wrestling show. This is one of the greater examples of that. It felt like a I don't know, man, like a 1990s rogues gallery of villains, all there in great placement, each having their own look and color and pop and getting to say their own thing and have their own catchphrase without even being... I mean, none of these people look like they should be hanging out. It's just nicely done, man. I love this group. I'm ready for it to implode sooner rather than later. Not because I don't love their shit, but just because there's so much depth within that group.
Yeah, I don't want it to implode. I would like for it to kind of just run as a group where maybe they go off and do their own thing, go for their own separate titles, but they're always much like Bullet Club. To where they kind of do their own thing, but if needed, we're going to come back and watch each other's backs. So we don't need to necessarily be always going everywhere we go together. Yeah. But I know that if shit happens, this person's got my back, and so you can kind of bring them together at times. That's what I would like for it to be.
Yeah, I think they could do that while playing off the fact that they are part of. I don't know how to word that. They're really the good guys if they're Honor No More. If Ring of Honor is what it's, what people are arguing it is becoming. So we'll talk about that, and that's no diss to them. Obviously, a ROH guy day one as well. It's been hard lately, but we'll get to that.
And to be fair, Vincent no longer has to defend his 6-man title. Dalton Castle and the boys, at least happy about the boys getting some recognition there. But Vincent now can focus solely on this group, and not any, no more commitments other places.
Yeah. We'll get into that at the end of Hot Topics. We have quite a few. We want to touch on all that as far as what happened. Was it last night? Technically, yeah, last night.
Yes.
I need sleep. It all feels like one big day. But we'll talk about that more, all together, including the Briscoes, them, and then Vincent as well. Does it mean, we have a clearer shot at him or what's the result of that? Next up is something, man, I tweeted out during this, is when Bayley wrestles, you have to watch. Not that I want it otherwise, but even if you're just a casual fan, or if you're just a pro wrestling kind of person, look, you don't even have to say wave the banner. But when that motherfucker is wrestling, you got to turn that shit on. Because, look, I like Deonna. I respect Deonna. I think he's growing ever since, obviously since he was in TNA to now. And I think he's finding his niche. I wonder what he's going to do after this as far as the VBD thing. But it looks like they're exploring that. So that's nothing against Deonna. But to have the quality of match Bayley had with him is the same quality of matches that he has, I won't say with Trey, because obviously that was next level, but for a TV match, this is no different. And once again, no disrespect to the other party, but it just means that no matter who he goes against, no matter what style, if they mesh well, that's a better way to put it, and no matter if it's a tag team guy or it's Laredo Kid who's going to jump through the roof, he's going to put on a banger. And
yeah, he has the ability to elevate the people he's in the ring with to his level. And I mean, in some cases, the people are already at his level, and then they both just elevate each other. But he has the ability to elevate the person. And when he first got into Impact, he was fun to watch. And you're like, this guy is going to be something you got to keep your eye out on.
Yeah.
Now he has grown into that. This is somebody I've got to watch. Like, this is
must see.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that the X Division matches should always open pay-per-views, and he's going to be that guy that you're like, oh shit, that got me ready for the rest of this card. See, that type of excitement on every match he has.
I agree with you in that sense. X Division always opens, right? It always is a banger, whatever. The problem I have with that is if we're going to do the DMC, and we'll get to that, if we're going to say that the X Division is the IC, is our US, is that mid card, and I don't like that term because there's nothing wrong with it, but that's that next stop before you go to the world title. Should it be the opening match, and should it be against people? And you can look at it two ways. My thing is, and I love Amazing Red, man, but was there a point where you're like, man, Amazing Red after that X Division title, he's ready for the world? That's not the progression in my mind.
No, I agree with that. I just think, to me, with Impact pay-per-views, I think it's important to... The reason why I like the X Division starting out is because it gets, at least, especially the crowd in the arena, it gets them so hyped and so ready. Right. And that's what I like. That's why I like it starting off with, the fire that the X Division brings, because it automatically is a match that means something because it's a title match, and it just gets everybody excited and ready to go and lets you know this is what to expect from the entire rest of the pay-per-view. And it kind of forces the rest of the people in the card to say, shit, now I got to bring my A game because that's what opened the card. Like...
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. One is you guys in the chats, Parkside7, T Hughes 90, I always see you guys in there. If you guys watch us on YouTube later, if it's Twitch live in the chat, this chat brings it. It is the lifeblood of the show. I say that between this and the comments. So thank you guys for showing up. We are at 100 on Twitch, by the way. I'm using this as a little segment. This is episode 101. We need that one. If you're hiding in the shadows and you want to just give us give us some happiness for today, get us to 101. That's all we ask. But let me see it in the chat as well. What do you guys think? Are you okay with the X Division being what we've always wanted? The Legends or the King of the Mountain or now or what else was there? The Grand Championship. All of these to be our IC. Are you okay with that being the title and then the DMC being the TV or whatever lower belt, which we'll talk about at segment 10. But to continue this on, something we can blow past, Ric Flair moment of the week. This overbooked piece of why would they show this, man? Number 7, Vexed is talking about why Deonna deserves a number 1 contendership or to be in that match for the title, at Emergence, even though she lost the number 1 contendership match against Mia last week. So they were making the play for that, and Gail wasn't having it. She said there's another title you're number 1 contender for, and it is the tag team title. So Ragnarok versus Vexed at Emergence. We didn't think it happened this soon, but we're getting it. We're excited that the fact that they're expanding. My personal opinion, and obviously we have a few weeks for it to develop, is Tasha and Savannah have been kind of MIA lately, right? It'd be interesting if they're the third here that maybe interrupts that match, so we don't give the belts to Vexed right away, but possibilities.
Yeah, I'm torn. I really want the titles on Deonna and Chelsea because I think that would just be amazing, but I kind of don't want to see Taya and Rosemary lose them just yet. Right. Unless they have an immediate plan for them going right into another feud. So if Jessica somehow teams with Susie and somehow costs them the belts and then they immediately go into that type of a program, I'd be okay with it. But I'm torn because I like Taya and Rosemary as champions, but I really want Deonna and Chelsea to win those titles. So it really is one of the few times where I've gone into a match being like, man, I don't know who I want to win this.
Yeah, that is it's sometimes a sweet spot that's enjoyable. It's like, oh, I haven't felt this in a while. Like, I don't know, I don't care. I don't care. But at the same time, it's like,
to be fair, I feel like Emergence is lining up with a couple of these matches, and we'll get to another one of those on later on.
I agree with you. I think we're on the same boat. We'll see, though. So after that, we go to EY and VBD. Here's another one, man, that is just another example of what they're putting out there production-wise. It was, I called it, when I wrote my notes, the stairs to nowhere, just because the promo was beautiful. It looked good. It had color. It was nice, man. But the words mean nothing. Same with the Killer Kelly vignettes. It's talking in gibberish. Maybe I'm not deep enough, but it just feels like a randomness. But other than that, if I just watch it for what it is and I try not to think too deep into it, it's fucking amazing. And it's another example of just them upping their game in these what I call little big things, right? So I enjoyed that a lot. Now, interested to see where they go with this, because all they're talking about is they have this sickness. Can they get rid of the sickness? Can they get back to being whatever? And that's obviously an ongoing thing. Towards the main event, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Number 9, Masha taken victim number 13, defeating Madison Rayne. So Masha even higher on our charts, on the power rankings charts, than Jordynne Grace, the world champion. Now, I know that doesn't matter, but just a little finger on the pulse of where people are thinking. And we keep saying Bound for Glory makes sense for them two to match up. I still think Jordynne should take her, because I think there's more in the story of Masha being level 1, undefeated, losing, and then how does she level up, right? But.
Yeah. First off, I'll see Impact tweeted. I'm looking at the wrap up on their website. They have her as 12-0. So one of you needs to go back and count your stuff. Maybe you're Goldberging her and just giving her some extra wins as you go along.
Actually, thank you for mentioning that, because I don't know if Giselle will be 13. And that's what I was thinking, because I wrote a tweet about that. I'm probably wrong. Hey, it happens. It's nonsense.
Who knows?
But I like that you mentioned that, because I'm so happy. When I heard 12, I was like, or whatever. Yeah, it must have been. Right. I thought she was 12. She won, so now she's 13-0.
It just says Snowplow 12-0.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's just what I'm just looking at the tweets from ImpactWrestling.com.
All right. But either way, though, my point was, I'm glad that they're keeping it UFC style. It's funny that she's been since January, so her record is in 7 months 12 or 13-0. but at the same time, they're not just adding them just to be.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
It's nice they're not Goldberger. I agree. And I agree with her losing. I think it's interesting because when you make somebody only about an undefeated streak, when they lose that undefeated streak, it's like, where do you go from here? So I do think her getting that title shot as undefeated, losing, and then seeing, all right, how does she now elevate up to win that title would be a really interesting thing for her to do, an interesting way for her to go. But I like her. I think it's nice to see that she's not just going up against the indie person they found in the local community anymore. It's nice that they're slow. Yeah, they're evolving who she's going against. I like her storyline. I'm excited to see where she goes. I agree. I do hope she is the Bound for Glory match.
Same page. And guys, I think Masha beat someone in the Caribbean last week, and Geoff, to make her 13-0. And she won the IC title in Rio de Janeiro. That's right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Millard. Appreciate you. Always got my back, bud.
I'm pretty sure she picked up a win on my WWE 2K story mode. Maybe that's where it comes from. Who knows?
Hey, Datila, what's going on? From Mexico? Are you in Mexico? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Speaking of the whole family's here. Hey, guys. Thank you once again. For those who are not familiar with the show, or our first timers here, like we always say, I'm going to throw this in there because we got some cool people with some cool shows. Speaking of that, Datila, GoGoPowerRankings, we already mentioned that. And then, of course, Craig and Nixon on Thursdays live, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Premiere BST. So make sure you're checking them out, guys. Technically 12-1. Wait, what? Who did she lose to? Sorry to our audio listeners. That's where I was going to get to. To our audio listeners, to our fans on YouTube, to everywhere else. Well, I don't know. It's off the rails. Make sure you guys hit subscribe, all that jazz. I'm all over the place. I'm going to keep moving on while you guys debate because I know I'm seeing 12-1. Now, let's see. Give me some info here, T. Hughes. All right. Next up after that, this is what I was getting to when it came to... By the way, Masha, big win, Madison Rayne. I know she's injured, and they play that off, and whatever. But still, hey, that's a win. She lost to Deonna. That sounds familiar. But yeah, big win for Masha there, beating Madison Rayne. Next step for her, we'll see where that goes. Next up was Myers and Gujar, and this is what I was talking about when it came to the DM championship. It felt like now he's telling Gujar that Vincent was talking shit about him. Go mess with him first. So there, nothing against Vincent obviously as well. We're excited to have him maybe be part of Impact for the foreseeable future. But it looks like they're going on a little bit of the lower card here, right? That's where they're going to keep this title, keep it online. And, if that's the route they go, knockouts, knockdown, okay. If that's the route they go, so be it. But I prefer it to be elevated to that next step. But right now it looks like Gujar is in the process of being number one contender or winning the title. Max, in regards to Vincent, you talked about it a little bit. I obviously am clueless. I didn't watch last night's show. But a little insight. Does it feel like it was a send-off, or does it feel like it's just a, hey, we'll see you?
So I will fully admit I did not watch last night's show. I'm not going to pay for that pay-per-view when I knew 99% of the outcomes without even having to watch it. I just read up on it. I do think that I know, obviously, Vincent's working with Impact. Another member of the Righteous is working in New Japan Strong. Okay. So I just think it was a situation where Tony decided to get it on Dalton Castle and the boys. I had told you before the show, Dalton Castle's last match prior to last night was wrestling Jonathan Gresham at Battle of the Belts like 4 months ago. So he's not wrestling that much, so I think it's easy for Tony Khan to be like, hey, I need you for this pay-per-view, and there's nothing in the way. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it was a send-off with ROH, not because I don't love Vincent and the Righteous. I just think that I would prefer him in Impact. If he's going to do – I like his Righteous gimmick. I've seen it in ROH or parts of it. I would prefer that to be – I mean, if he does that in Impact, that would be awesome. Yeah. But I just like him. I think he's a good character. I think he's a good matchup for Honor No More. And I did check. I was looking at the matches. You are correct. She is 12-0 officially, based off of only looking at Impact.
Oh, so I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, you're right. I thought when I first counted it, I counted it as 13. I was like, oh, you're right, but no, it is. She is 12-0.
I thought they were saying she was 12-0. She was 12-0 now. So I guess they said she was 11-0,
no, yeah.
and now she's 12-0.
She technically lost at other places, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
she's 12-0 back.
I'll edit it before Power Rankings on. There we go, full circle. Okay. I'll edit it before Power Rankings Tuesdays, 7 p.m. On the TNAIW channel. Anyways, let's keep moving on. So yeah, we go past that. We're getting to 11. Killer Kelly vignette, another one of these, but the most important part is that she will be here next week. Love the look of it. Love they're giving her a different character. Gibberish. Next up is something Max was very happy about. Ace and Bay, the Bullet Club defeating OGK. Heath doing his what did I say? I said Bullet Club, right?
You said the Bullet Club.
No,
it's
I
Bullet
didn't.
Club.
Defeating the OGK. That's what I said. Don't correct me. But Heath comes out and I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Batman's it up and helps them somewhat in the victory, but not enough. I don't know.
Hey, but he's the unofficial fifth member of Bullet Club Impact. I love Heath, man, but I would. Yeah, I don't want Heath to be anywhere near Bullet Club. But I like this match. I think it was good to see Ace and Bay get a win because I really think that if you run into a situation where Good Brothers are working both New Japan and Impact back and forth, I think having Bay and Ace as a tag team is awesome. But it also wasn't a situation where you made Honor No More look bad. It was Maria interferes, and then Heath comes in and really kind of costs them the match. So you kind of still allow that storyline to continue, and you kind of keep Honor No More from titles, which I think they will eventually get one. But I liked it overall. I thought it was a good way to do it, and obviously Chris Bay and Ace Austin and Bullet Club getting a win is always a plus for me.
Yep, like what they're doing here, and especially since the Briscoes are definitely on the outs, obviously. They're off the Impact Wrestling page. Any tag team that could step up. We'll talk about them more, but it seems, anytime these tag teams could get some equal grounding here, and it felt like Ace and Bay were on the level of the Kingdom, at least. So this win helps that cause. Next up, Gia was with Macklin. Sammy interrupts, and then Moose there ended up coming up to help Macklin. So Sammy's needs some help here. Could it be Dean Razorblade Ambrose, or what is his name now? Sorry, Moxley.
I don't know.
I don't think so. But anyways, so Sammy's looking for help. Sammy, by the way, had a live YouTube convo yesterday, day before Friday. I don't remember all these days, but it was really cool, man. You could go watch it back if you're a YouTube premium, whatever that is called, Impact Premium or Impact. What is it called, Max?
Impact Plus.
Nah, the one on YouTube.
Who knows?
Whatever that one's called.
You pay the $1.
I paid $1. No, I pay for the bigger one. But because of that, you get to talk to Sammy, and that was really cool. He answers your questions. It's a live chat. It was pretty dope. But he was talking about wanting to be one of the gatekeepers, the pillars of Impact Wrestling, and I thought that was pretty neat. So if he's one of those, who knows who he can help bring in here.
No, I think he is a great. I think it would be a great role in that. I think it would be a great person for that role. Excuse me. And I think he's someone who doesn't need a title for his gimmick to work. So I think that's why he is almost the gatekeeper to the world title. Would be perfect for him.
Oh, for sure. Ultimate Insider. Thank you, TU90. It's been a day. James Storm to help Sammy. Yeah, I think that's probably the play. But either way, man, shout out to him.
Maybe Curry Man?
Sure, maybe. Why not? Next up was Jessica and Team Ragnarok. They're going with the Jessica thing for a bit. I hope this leads to what we wanted. We've been talking about Impact Zone nonstop, which is Sue and Havoc and Deonna and Chelsea. And so I think that tag team thing is growing here. I think this is layer one before we get to that next step. Instead of Savannah and Tasha, is there something to play here with Jessica? How do you think this pans out? Do you have an idea, or are you just excited for the ride?
I mean, I wouldn't have thought until you mentioned it that the Susie and Jessica thing would work. But now I think it would be a really interesting pairing, and it's really is what I'm hoping for, that they do run with that in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
At least, especially, I think it depends how long Ty is going to be here. If she's going to be here for a long time, I really like her and Rosemary together. I think they're a good like yin and yang.
Yep.
So I think that's fun. And then I think I liked the Susie stuff, but I think her being more serious with someone like Jessica would be a pretty good team too, and pretty, powerful team combined. So,
yeah. Either way, it looks like we're gaining in the depth of where a lot of people were concerned. And this is a definite home run here. Next up, Scott and Josh talking about the main event. Rich gets brought into the conversation, then literally comes into the conversation and talks about where he's on track. He just lost his title. He's on track. He beat Shira, and now he's ready for a world title shot. So there's that. But first he's going to get Kushida, so it sets up that. And I'm excited because, once again, Rich, between the ropes, can't touch. It's hard to touch that dude. So this is going to be a banger, and I'm jealous of all the people get to see it. Next up is the number one contenders match, Shelley versus SABIN. A lot of history here, like I was saying and rambling on in the beginning about, but trying not to go too far into it. Every level from production, the video packaging, the commentating team really I pride myself being on a day oneer with this company, knowing most of the stuff. There's a lot I forgot, trust me. But seeing every piece of this content, it was nice to be reminded things by not only the video packages, but by Tom just talking. And really remember, oh, hey, the last time they got together, or whatever that time was, it was for the X Division title, vacant title, and SABIN was the one willing to go the furthest. And this time now, Shelley was. He learned from that mistake whatever years ago. Just really cool, just really great storytelling here. And then the match itself. Max, I'll let you start with that because goddamn, bro.
So it's, in my opinion, it's the best match I've seen from Impact, definitely this year, and potentially one of the best matches I've ever seen in Impact.
Wow.
It was, I think we both predicted, we thought it was going to be Chris Sabin winning this to set up Chris Sabin versus Josh Alexander.
So much story.
But I am super excited after this match for Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander. And as I said before, I know we were talking about Josh Alexander dropping the title at Bound for Glory and elevating someone. At this point after that match, I might put my support behind Alex Shelley to beat Josh Alexander.
Ooh.
Wow. The match was so good, and I would really it's kind of one of those things where you're like, man, do I want to see this guy get a world title run? And even if it's just a short one, even if it's just up and maybe it's a rematch between him and Josh at Bound for Glory and Josh takes it, I don't know, but it was such a good match that even when I was reading on Reddit, there were people who were like, Impact, in order to get new fans, Impact needs to do something amazing. And people were like, yeah, this match was absolutely amazing. It's everything that you would want. And it's and it was
dude,
it was phenomenal.
The whole, they have to do something amazing. They consistently do things that are amazing.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
The problem is, and I was talking about it in the chat today, it's just people want people to like it for that, so they can decide that they can fully invest and like it. And that's just where we are in today's world. So it is what it is. And the fact that they're putting on these matches and people still say they need to do something, it blows my mind. With that being said, yeah, everything you said, I second, man. I've once again seen it all. Don't remember it all, but I've seen it all. But yeah, this is a match that resonates, man. And I think we'll do so for a very long time. The crowd was into it. That helped. Once again, the soundtrack, the commentary was beautiful. The story they told in that ring was beautiful. The fact that Shelley won after that leg, look, I won't go. I love Shelley, and I've grown to love SABIN. I will admit there was a time, that I am a Shelley guy, but SABIN I've grown to love and respect. And whoever made that comparison of SABIN to being the Bailey or vice versa, Bailey being the SABIN of the division, I think that was pretty cool. Forgot who said that 1 week, but I like that. But yeah, it was a surprise here. We thought the story was already written for SABIN versus for Josh, and it was. But I think that's what made this even better, was that we might have been expecting one thing, and by the end we gave no shits who won. I literally could care less. And now I'm excited for the possibility of that translating in the main event of Emergence as well. But I don't want it the same results. I can't go with you there because I feel like taking it off Josh before Bound for Glory, it's not about Josh per se and his momentum. I think it is a little hiccup. But I don't want this to be treated like how Sabin's world and only world title win was, which was it felt more of the moment, kind of like Aries when he beat Rude, more of the moment. And then you give him a short run, and then we talk about it within, even Tom mentioned it was only a month run. I guess if there's build up to it, I won't mind as much, but at the same time, I won't be mad if it happens, but I'm not looking forward to it doing so.
See, and that's fine. And those are the best types of matches to where you're like, man, you know what? I'm okay with the outcome. So with either outcome, but we'll see.
And then to wrap that up, VBD attacks again. They're trying to find their way out of, I don't know, into back
stairwell or whatever.
Back into Eric Young's heart. And they attack the Motor City Machine Guns backstage. We don't know why Alexander can't help, but he was confronted by Shiro. We find that out later. I think Metal Lazy 25, I'll give you a shout out, by the way, because I didn't make the comments, but mentioned that it was funny that we got an answer to that. Online nonetheless. But anyways, Kushida comes out to make the save and standing tall, man. Pretty cool to see. I didn't expect Kushida here. In my head, he was just debuting in his match the next week. So really cool and nicely done there. All right. So Max, let me get your grade on it, and then we'll get the Twitter verses.
So, based off the main event alone, I think it was an A show. It could have been that main event, and the rest of it could have been filled with Shark Boy guzzling clam juice in the ring for the entire rest of the show, and I still would have given it an A. Like, that main event was phenomenal.
People seem to be with you. 63% went A. I was, I'm with you, man. You can't have that great of a match. Now, I don't think I would have said I'm not as confident in that match as you are, as far as if the other, 58 minutes were taken up or more were taken up by Sharkboy. But I will say I would have went A-, whatever. Someone there, who gives a shit? But either way, it looks like you guys said so as well. It was over 50, so last week we had 70, but this is even better. Not on the votes standards, but as far as the numbers here. So 6% on D and 6% in C. Man,
I'm assuming the people voting D and C's stream must have cut out before the main event.
I bet they're C and D's nuts because these people are stupid. I wrote that on there because, bro, if you vote D, if you get your jollies by going by and blindly writing D on an Impact rating thing, God bless you, man. But there's no way in hell this was a D. And I'm chill enough to even say, okay, maybe they said C+, right? Okay, I'll pass with the C. But you 6% who said D.
Maybe that's why Tony Khan can't get back to Jonathan Gresham about what's going on. Maybe he's too busy downvote your Twitter poll.
I'm mad at them. They do things better than me. Oh man. All right. Enough about that clown. We'll get to that.
Well,
no, we'll talk a lot more about him. No, pro wrestling. But we got a lot to get into, and you guys have given us some great stuff. I've already said the chat is a lifeblood, meaning that me and Max are just dumb blokes. You guys talking to us throughout the show helps this show move along. But the comments also are part of that. And we love you guys no matter what comments or if it's Twitter, if it's YouTube, we're taking them all. We're putting them on here. So you guys really do write the show. We're only got room for 5. We're going to make sure we do 5 because we also have something to talk about at the end. But let's get into that. My buddy Chris Zalita, I think he has 2 of them on here. He was talking about yesterday we got a clue into where BFG's location will be as far as the BFG Series, which we talked about extensively last week. It would be awesome if it returns, and what could be done around it with current roster guys, some free agents, and maybe some New Japan talent depending on the G1 schedule. We agree. We were talking about this off air a little bit, especially a way to work in talking about Bandido, and I'm just dropping the bomb. Hey guys, just a AAA specialty match. Bandido versus Ray Horusa. Horus, is it right? Horus? Horace. At Emergence. So nice of them just to reveal it that way. But I think that does, let's separate this, Max. Let's actually talk about the free agents and Bandido really quickly, and then go to the BFG location. So as far as the BFG series, yeah, man, we talked about that. I think it'd be great because the number one complaint, especially with a face champion, is unless you're doing blood feuds every time, he's just going to be the defending guy. And I'm a fighting champion. Right. And to build that drama, it would be smart to put a AAA represented Bandido in there, a Jay White in there. I don't know if he would be part of it, whatever. But the point is get some representation in there. Get some people like a Taven is who I made the mention of. Get them out of their stables because you can still put an Eddie in there. It does a lot with very little. And not that the sense that Impact still won't make it an awesome and make every match matter even more or have some kind of intertwined story. You don't have to do that. You could get by just saying, hey, this match means a lot because if I win, I get 3 points or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. And I think that just adds something different, a different variable to the mix.
So I think the Bound for Glory series is great. I think it gives you the option to quickly build up a new title contender without having to build a full story between him and Josh. It also makes it easy for Josh to get that challenger, and it leaves the option open for, like you have mentioned, you want a big moment at Bound for Glory, whether it's Bandido or Matt Taven or someone else. Getting that win at Bound for Glory over Josh, the Bound for Glory series, burn up that gives him even more momentum because you've seen him win matches to get here. Right. So it makes it that much more impressive. The issue with New Japan is I pulled up the schedule. G1 Climax runs until August 18th. And
Emergence.
It would be, and I mean, so you could bring them back after that. That is their final night of the tournament. Would be August 18th.
Yeah. And that's 2 months of build.
So 2 months of build, but I don't know where they're going from there. Right. It wouldn't be surprised because I obviously don't think Jay White would take part in it just because he's IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah.
But bad example.
But I'm just saying, someone like Jonah or ELP going in there, I think would definitely be a possibility and something that would be really interesting for them to do. So I think depending on when you start this, I think you could see some of the guys there. But we'll see. Yeah,
and I was mentioning, Jay, because I see Parkside 7 Millard saying Josh versus Jay White at Bound for Glory. I dig that, but I think obviously you would know the end game of that. I doubt he would take the L to Josh. But that we don't think that's the plan anyways. We think Josh loses at Bound for Glory. My point is, I'd rather it be someone they build up or is on Josh's level, or at least respected as or looked at as so. That we don't have now. Someone who's a mainstay. Same with the SABIN thing. SABIN versus Josh. Going to be a banger? Probably. Yes, 100%. But do I want a veteran taking that belt off Josh or Josh just beating another veteran? No. I think if Josh loses it, I think Bound for Glory is your time to crown that next guy, that equal to Josh, the Rock to the Austin or whatever it may be. And then as far as Bound for Glory location, it looks like it's going to be in Danbury, Connecticut.
Danbury, Connecticut. Yep, that's what we found. Apparently based off a article per Fightful Select.
Okay.
And we did some Googling because we were wondering, why would they pick Danbury?
Right.
What's important about Danbury? Well, it's only 49 minutes from Stamford, Connecticut, which is where WWE's headquarters is.
Right.
So I'm predicting that Moose shows up at WWE's headquarters and throws Vince off the building, and that's how they write Vince off WWE TV. He'll probably show up on Raw the next night to do some type of Vince McMahon memorial.
No. There's only one way, and it's good we're getting to this because there's Vince retiring here is actually a part of the next the comment. But I will say for WWE fans and as one throughout my youth as well and later years, pro wrestling, you are missing an opportunity. No matter if you're on the I love Vince or hate Vince spectrum right now, he needs to come back for one more show. And needs to blow up in a limo.
It's
only one exit.
That's it.
Only one exit.
That's it.
But this is your best side 92. The Shelley vs. SABIN. It looks like a Killer Kelly picture, by the way. Shelley vs. SABIN match was awesome. So Josh vs. Shelley would be another great match at the next Impact Plus show at Emergence August 18th. I agree. I added that last part. I think with Vince retiring or whatever and Triple H going back to his previous position in the WWE, I think Impact should try to sign Dakota Kai and any free agents out there they'd like before Triple H signs them back to WWE. I think that's a great point. In the sense of there's new eyes, allegedly, when it comes to talent relations and who's going to come in and does it match up to the vision and is she part of it? I think there's a lot of talent that could be smoothed over now that Vince is gone, and I think there's a lot of talent that might leave that Vince is gone. But once again, no inside knowledge, it's just the nature of the game. A guard comes in, people are bound to go or come in. So that's just nature. But as far as we should try to sign her, look, man, I'm sure we have tried to talk to her or did talk to her or tried to sign her or had nice conversations with. I don't think Impact sits on their thumbs and is like, oh, well, we're going to wait around because Vince is in charge of talent. Now Triple H is, holy shit. I don't think that's the case. I get the point, but we always have to look at from the other side. What does Dakota Kai want? Does she want to be here? Does it match what she wants to do in life? There's other variables than just we need to sign her before she's signed elsewhere.
No, I mean I agree with that. I mean I definitely think Impact should try and sign her. I think she's awesome. And do I think that with Triple H now in charge of talent relations that it's going to change the way they do things? No. Sure, I do think it will. But I don't think it's going to happen overnight. This isn't Vince Russo coming in and saying, "Give me all the belts. We're starting fresh." Right. It's going to be it's going to take them a while to get into the direction they want to go, and I don't think they're going to start hiring people back until they kind of have everything fleshed out. They see, like you said, does anybody want to leave now that Vince isn't there? Right. So they'll kind of figure out where they are, and we don't know if she's signed. Remember, Killer Kelly was signed for 2 fucking years, and nobody knew about it. So Dakota Kai very well could be on the Impact roster right now, getting paid to, do whatever, and we don't know. So
yeah, that's another variable. I always don't think to that because that's usually not work in Impact's favor. But being the optimist here, maybe she's already signed. No, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of talent I think out there, but I still think there's 88 minutes of television, and you don't know what's going to be the fallout of some things that are happening now, which we'll get to in just a second. And also, man, I see Parkside in there. Stephanie will be open to working with other companies since Vince is gone. That's one thing everyone has to also remember is it does nothing for WWE to work with other companies. No matter if you like them or not, they are professional wrestling in the mainstream to a lot of people. That's your first introduction to it. It could change in time, but that is the case. So they have no need to acknowledge or work with anyone else. So when they do us little things or favors or let Mickey be the Impact World Champ, whatever the hell they would call it, it's cool. Thank you. But
the only brand that benefits is NXT because you can send some of your younger people over to Impact, right, and they get some TV time. Like that's it. That's like
if there's any, yes.
Yeah. If there's going to be any working with, that's who benefits. Much like when Jushin Thunder Liger showed up in WWE, it was on NXT. Right. Like, so those are that's the only place that I can really see them really doing a crossover would be NXT because that allows some of their younger talent to help develop and work with more people. So
I agree with you, even though I believe this is you manifesting for Mandy Rose. I think that's...
I love me some Mandy
I think
Rose.
that's the case. Metalazy 25, BFG series should be brought back. The 2012 and 2013 BFG series were very entertaining, and made every match have a purpose. Yeah, that's what we're saying, and we agree. It's for that simple. It's just every match really does matter. Now, can you say every match already does matter? Sure, yeah, of course. If in the fake world of if I get this win, I get more money. I don't know what people think wrestling, or you know what I mean. Like, what is the?
I mean,
I win money for the purse.
If I win, I get closer to a title shot, and if I'm the champion, I get paid more. I think that's the.
Yeah, so I think this does that, and it builds quickly. And the only thing I would say about it is that there's a very thin line between 2012, 2013 BFG series, and then that thing we had when they taped 72 matches out of order and then placed him in a tournament for the World Heavyweight title that ended up in Hardy versus EC3. I don't remember that. But so there's a very thin line in that. I don't want to see all these matches just taped and not really mattered. If they put the depth into them and make it feel something. But once again, that's me being a pessimist, because if I look at what Impact's doing now, everything really matters, from commentary to production to the match itself. So next up, Chris Alita again. I mentioned MLW and Jacob Fatouche. Do we see him showing up at some point? I don't know. I don't know the relationship there. MLW is doing. Sometimes I look at it and I see MLW is doing some really big things on their own. I still don't think they are the level of Impact, but in some ways they are already thriving in ways Impact has not got to yet. So I don't know what their mindset is. I think, and this isn't, once again, jumping on the hate for Tony Khan or anything of that. Once again, I've always defended him until a certain point recently. But I think it's more so the territories realizing that this guy who said he was the White Knight is another Vince. And I don't mean that in whatever way. I just mean that he's about him and his brands, and he's going to do what he has to do to make him and his brands number one. That's not a diss. So I don't know. I think it's more so the territories, the NWAs, who you're also mentioning here, working together more so than fighting with from the beneath, the 1 and 2. But NWA removed Aldis from the title match, and it makes me wonder if this crosses over to Impact and Aldis. I don't think it's a shoot. Because a lot of the wording is, I'm sorry, you built this company with them. Billy and him have went up and down the road together to do this. I just don't see him throwing him under the bus this much. I think it makes more sense, especially with Mickey taking her bags and leaving. Maybe there's a play here with both of them coming back or I don't know.
Yeah, I also read somewhere that he's the only person in NWA that makes WWE money. Oh. And obviously if you have that type of faith in a guy to pay him,
he's your guy,
tons of money. Yeah, he's your guy. Yeah. Maybe there's some disagreements there on certain things, but I don't think you just toss him out and be like, whatever, kick rocks. But who knows?
And that's something I need to mention, because my especially if you're coming back, once again, if you haven't watched us in forever, make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, all that jazz, show us some love. One friend at a time, one fan at a time. That's still the mantra. But we're trying to get to 325 before Emergence. That was the Slammiversary goal. What's the Emergence goal? But it
will soon be the Bound for Glory.
Right. But my point with Aldis is my story. My thought of him has changed. Even when he came back for that little thing with Mickey against Chelsea and Matt, I wasn't digging it. I still had sour grapes, not from his run per se. Wasn't always the biggest fan, but I appreciated his growth. It was just the words since. And I thought from that Slammiversary thing and then on, I got to see his work without being jaded. And he just said the right things. He acted the right way. And by that, I mean he at least made Impact look important when he talked. So bygones are bygones, like it matters. But I was able to just sit back and enjoy it. And I actually like his growth, man. I like where he's at. So I wouldn't be against him coming in. So just to make that clear.
I think he'd be really interesting. I think it would be a good move for Impact. Yeah. I think him versus Josh at Bound for Glory would be an interesting thing to go.
If the BFG series happens and we're talking about having representatives and making it feel important, that would be a dope person to be in there.
Yeah.
But let's get to number 5 because we have a lot more, and this is going to actually be the transition into what we're going to talk about. I don't like saying that just because you work with your significant other means you'll never leave or you will sign with the other place where your significant other works. I don't believe in that. But I also believe it has a little bit of truth here, and this gets into this because I had not really thought about Deonna leaving until this comment. So our buddy Chris Alita again, Deonna and Chelsea team, it's been great. They should be the ones to take the tag titles. Now come December, do you guys believe Deonna is sticking around? So I guess that's when her contract runs up. I never really thought about it. 1, love them as a tag team. 2, I think they are the only viable tag team that could take the belt off a team in Rosemary and Taya. Just 2 legends of the Knockouts division, let alone wrestling. So I think that makes sense. Here's my thing with the Deonna thing, and I was talking about that. Her and Macklin obviously getting married. I know that has nothing to do with it. You could work where you want to work. Your dream is your dream. You could still be in a relationship despite working at different places. But just like Sammy in that conversation, I just feel like Deonna and Macklin are 2 more of those people who want to be foundation setters here. They want to be the people that grow this brand because this brand kind of grew them. And that means let them grow on their own or become who they thought they could be if just given a little bit of shine. And I thought Impact has done that for them. Now, there's other things in life. We said that. What do they want? Or, what does she want? So that comes into play as well. So one, I'll separate it because we're obviously going somewhere else with somebody else's significant other. But as far as Deonna, can you see her leaving? Obviously, she's done almost everything there is to do in Impact, but once again, at the end of the day, those are props that you can make more entertaining, more important in different ways. She's going after the tag now. Is she someone who's here for the long haul in your eyes?
I think she is. I think she's one of those people that when her contract comes up, Impact walks up to her and says, how much do you want us to pay you to stay? And whatever number she says, you write it on a check and give it to her. I think she is. I think she's that important. I think you look at her, Moose, Josh, Sammy, and I would probably say Ace are probably the 5 people that I would, if I'm Impact, what do you want? And I want, like, you're my future.
Right.
Other people I think are high up there, but those are the 5. And you said she did everything, but John Cena did everything in WWE, and then he kept finding more things to do. He was the U.S. champion. So there's always stuff to do. She's going after the tag title. There's always something.
I'm going for more from an artist standpoint.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's always something. She's not the longest reigning Knockouts champion, so if she wants to cement that. So there's other things that she can do in Impact that I think, but I don't think she's leaving. I think she clearly – Impact is a place where she came and she got the opportunity to show how good she was. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that because of that, she thinks Impact is her home. But
yeah, man, I agree with you. Playing devil's advocate here, man. Just because there's more, we always talk about, there's other variables to the decision, not just correct. I like this place. Can she sink her teeth into some things? Does she feel like it's home? I believe so. If I'm thinking out clearly and I think about it, I say 60-40 right now is where my head is at. I'm sure it's better in the favor. I'm just being, cautious. But I think she is one of those people that you lock down if you can. Once again, if you can. And because, like I was mentioning, Macklin, I know you didn't mention him in your 5, but this dude is someone who's probably right on that level, right below and working his way up to being one of those people that I think can be a foundation piece for this company. So if you can grow, once again, accolades aside, I don't mean it to make it look like the belts mean anything less than they are. But you put that aside, there's that other chapter that you can create for Impact, which is we stayed, we built this company, and now we're in front of 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, whatever it may be by the time she's done and releases up, puts those boots away for the last time. I built this company. There's only a couple people that can say that about companies. AJ Styles. This is the house that AJ built. Him and Jarrett, man.
Hulk Hogan.
Who?
Hulk Hogan.
Oh, in the other one.
He built.
Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. So
I mean, Hulk built something in TNA.
Built fucking dumpster fire. No, man. But you know what I'm saying. I just think that, that is an accolade that you can't get in a stat sheet. But you can get it when you look back at the history of this company in a video package in 20 years and you're like, oh shit, we got here because of whatever. Now, the flip side of that, now I talked about the couples thing and whatever. Once again, Jonathan was here, then he signed with AEW/ROH, and Jordan has been here the whole time. So once again, you don't have to work where your significant other does. At the same time, I know nothing. I told you not to update me too much. I woke up to a text from you kind of speculating that something was going down. Hours later, you told me it did go down. Why don't you update me more, and then we'll talk about the possibility of Jonathan coming to a new home.
So, once again, I did not watch the pay-per-view because, as I said, looking at it, I pretty much knew who was going to win every match I cared about outside of the Righteous versus Dalton Castle and the Boys. But the stuff I had read when I woke up and I was reading the matches, I had read people had said, and once again, I don't know how much of this is true. This is just what I had read from multiple people who had said it. He coming to the ring, I do know he didn't wear his octopus mask. He didn't carry his flag. He just came down wearing a T-shirt. People had said he just looked
disinterested.
Yeah, disinterested. I heard everything from him no-selling moves to him sandbagging moves. That he basically
really.
That's just what people said. I don't know how true this is. I basically read that he had turned down that he didn't show up to the press conference afterwards, and he lost the title to Claudio. All that kind of, I was like, man. Based off that, as well as the fact that so I have it written down here because I took notes. His first event that Tony Khan bought ROH was Supercard of Honor on 4/1. He then appeared on the 4/15 Battle of the Belts, and the ending of that match was actually used to build Joe versus Jay Lethal. He didn't appear again in AEW at all until July 6th. So he basically went 2.5 months where he just didn't show up. Reports came out that he was signed with AEW on April 15th. So then they do a quick build to this Claudio stuff, then he loses the title. So all those things kind of put together, I just had a feeling. I was like, man, clearly they don't have any plans for him. So I had a feeling he's either going to be released, request his release, or it was a short-term, hey, man, your contract runs from now until Death Before Dishonor until we can get it. Reports came out from Sean Ross Sapp, basically that he apparently cussed Tony Khan out before the start of the pay-per-view. He had said he met with Tony before the pay-per-view and was heated about his character direction. He apparently had mentioned in a interview that came out, I don't know if it was a couple days ago, that he has no clue how Tony Khan even felt about him. He says since he's been signed with AEW, he hasn't talked to Tony at all. They basically had like 1 or 2 conversations, but no conversations about direction. He found out he had recently turned heel on AEW TV. He said he found out about that literally the day he showed up, and apparently he found out he was losing the title when he showed up to Death Before Dishonor. He has mentioned there have been reports that he has apparently reached out trying to get in touch with Tony Khan to talk about everything, and Tony never got back to him. Apparently the way the structure works is you reach out to either QT Marshall or Sanjay Dutt, who are the creative team. They reach out to Tony, and then Tony gets back to the wrestler, and apparently they just never happened. So, to me, he clearly wasn't treated well at AEW/ROH. I'm going to let you know. So, he had 2 pay-per-view matches. He had one with Impact at Hard to Kill, and then this one, which was officially bought by Tony at Death Before Dishonor. I'm going to give you the placement and match time, and you tell me which one you think is which. So, in one of the pay-per-views, it was the first match on the card, and it lasted 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Sure. The second one was the third match on the card, and it lasted 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Both matches were for the ROH title. Which one do you think took place at the ROH pay-per-view?
Oh, the first match.
Correct.
Well, the third match would be kind of... Third match, and that is a little douchier.
He was the first match on the card, and it lasted 11 minutes. I've seen Undertaker entrances at WrestleMania that were longer than his title match.
But was that the plan?
I mean, clearly, but I don't think he was happy with it because he clearly, apparently, that's one of the things that he was upset about was the direction that match was going.
I mean, going first? You think going first was
just? I mean,
okay.
I don't. He didn't find. I don't think he knew anything that was going on.
Okay.
I think all this stuff was just.
And what I'm saying is that after the cussing out, maybe it was moved to number 1.
Possibly.
Maybe not. And I want to see the sandbagging thing.
Know.
If he's being unprofessional in that way, I actually want to see him make my own opinion.
Once again, I saw some people say that. I also saw a lot of people did say that I read said they were really impressed with how he wrestled. So I don't know. It's obviously, unfortunately, online when you take shots at AEW, you get the people who are going to defend it no matter what, much like happens with WWE. So that could have just been that.
I do want to see on my own, actually see the match instead of that. But with that being said, this is the first I'm hearing about it. As far as the lack of communication, all that stuff. Here's what I'll say, because once again, pro wrestling, I've been a pretty big defender of Tony in the past until more recently, because it kind of starting to see. I give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes a little too long. And my thing was this. I thought I'm going to put all the impact and stuff aside. Just from a normal human standpoint, buying a company or starting a company and then acquiring all this talent, then creating 4 shows, and then another show, and then buying a historic show that's been on for 20 years, company, and then putting that show away, then bringing it back. That's a lot of stuff to keep compartmentalized.
Yeah, not only that, he has a football team and a soccer team that he deals with.
Obviously not well enough because they both suck.
Well.
So yes, I agree. So he has a lot on his plate. Does he? I don't know the guy. It seems like he could stay up all night if he really wanted to get work done. But the problem when you do that and you spread yourself too thin is it starts to show. So human nature, no matter what you think about Tony or not, or his ability or lack thereof, this was bound to happen where something, how big or small, is going to fall through the cracks. The problem is, it seems like, and this is where I tell a lot of Impact fans, oh, he's signing everybody, and you're right, it's fucking annoying. It's frustrating. But you know who it's more frustrating and annoying for? Are the people that were probably sold magic beans and then are sitting there twiddling their thumbs and then are told they're losing their championship the moment they show up at a pay-per-view they barely knew anything about. So patience, and once again, pro wrestling, I hope every person that is signed by AEW is utilized to the best of their ability, is paid well doing so, and is living out their dream. That's the truth. The problem is with that many people and that little television, even though it's a lot, the way it's structured doesn't make room for a lot of these people to be showcased in the way they should. And they also don't have the best creative in wrestling, which Impact does. But my point is this, it's bound to happen, and it is happening now. He was probably told that ROH was going to be, it's going to be a thing, and you're going to be the head of the da-da-da-da. And look where we're at. And it's brought back once a month or whatever you said. He was thrown into being a heel. They didn't care about the lineage of anything. This is not the ROH that was. And that's why the Briscoes thing, and I'll segue to that a little bit because I want your opinion, and we're obviously over on time. But the Briscoes thing, that's why them going there was just so weird to me. Now, granted, they've been 20 years of ROH pay, right? So, maybe they want that check. And I can't blame them. One of them's got 7 kids. So get that money.
7 kids?
Yeah, Mark's got 7 kids, I thought they said.
Is he building a starting lineup?
He's building a farming network. to get all the
gotta get those chickens.
Man. Collect those eggs, kids. Let's see, he's collecting those eggs too, I guess. Oh shit. But anyways, it surprised me, obviously not the loss of them there, but why they would sign on to that, because I thought they really had a home in Impact, but obviously they're off the roster page. That's done. They're ROH exclusive. Can't be on AEW. But I think we're going to start seeing more people who on the sneak, maybe not as loud as Gresham's going, ask for their exit. Now, in the case of the Briscoes, Max, is that a surprise to you when you saw that? It doesn't...
A little bit, because I did I didn't think they were obviously going to be on AEW because the network doesn't want them. And AEW or ROH, to my knowledge, doesn't have a TV deal lined up. So now maybe Tony's just going to pay them and let them do whatever until he needs them. If that's the case, well, shit. If you want to pay me to sit at home, if you want to pay me six figures to sit at home, and then I can go do whatever I want, awesome. I'll take that too.
Yeah, but isn't that the problem? Isn't that kind of what?
Well, I mean, so it depends. They obviously, I know we've talked about it, we've joked. They have the chicken farm. So it depends what your primary goal is. Like you look at someone like Alex Shelley.
Fair.
Alex Shelley is a physical therapist who also wrestles. So if Tony Khan comes to Alex Shelley and says, "Hey man, I want to pay you six figures and I need you once a month." Well, shit, my passion is like I like wrestling, but I want to be a physical therapist. So if it's something like that, I get it. But I don't know. It did surprise me because I don't know what's going on. Like they're a big deal, and clearly they're making the Briscoes a bigger deal than Gresham. But they lost both their matches. Like, where are you going from there?
They got one pin.
We'll see.
They got one pin.
Yeah, they got one pin. But we'll see what happens. And I mean, I understand. And obviously, you're never going to make everybody happy. There have been people at Impact who have requested their release because they weren't happy with creative. Correct. But the problem is, the biggest issue to me that with everything that I had read is the lack of communication. And the lack of communication isn't an issue for someone like CM Punk or Kenny Omega, because even if by some random chance Tony Khan isn't communicating with them, you're still the top stars, so you know you're going to be taken care of. If I work at a company and no one's telling me anything, and all of a sudden my boss walks up and says, "Hey, here's a promotion and a raise," well, who gives a shit about the lack of communication? I just made more money.
Sure.
But if you aren't talking to me and then you come in and you're going to fire my ass, that's when people get upset. So I think that's what happened here. I just think it was Jonathan Gresham grew up wanting to be a part of ROH. Right. He loved ROH. When ROH folded, he traveled from promotion to promotion, carrying the banner of ROH, defending that title for a company that no longer existed. He was like, I am going to put ROH on my back and, represent ROH the best I could. And he did in Impact, and he did other places. And I just think that it was, to him, a disrespect issue. And I would absolutely love for him to come back to Impact, because I think there are opportunities. I know people are going to talk about his size. He's 5'4". Throw in some lifts to get him to 5'6", whatever. The guy can go. Like, he's not, as long as he's not wrestling Jinder Mahal, it doesn't matter who he can, or Moose. You can imagine him with his style being the X Division champion. Like, I'm going to ground the high flyers. I'm going to give you guys that would be a phenomenal character concept for him. I'm just a great wrestler. I'm going to prove it with a title that AJ and Joe and all of them held. Like, things like that for him. He would be such a great piece to Impact. And even though you don't have to work with your significant other, hopefully Jordan gets in his ear. Now, I did also read that he apparently said that he's going to be done with wrestling for a while. But I think that may just be with everything going on. It's just kind of a take a step back to recover from life.
Yeah, I think that's a big possibility. Obviously, guys, we'll end it off after this. TK has done everything to undermine Impact's moves this year. I agree with that as well. And that's the part that's getting me on Tony, is that it feels like everything we do excellent, that's where he puts his focus, or that's what he's done. And that's been since day one. He did that tag team, not women's tournament, before they even had their own division, established. Some could say they still don't. But, there's talent there. I won't disregard that. But the point was, there have been things along this, and I think there's a quote from, who was it, Don Callis, but he said, well, we got on TV first. And I think that's his mindset. He treats us, he talks about how he gets his ideas from Twitter. He talks about how I wouldn't be surprised if he takes them from everyone else. And then that was the big issue. In the Briscoes case, to make them an exclusive signing when I don't know. I could go on about this, but I agree with you as well, man. But at the same time, I see you guys, he breeds ROH and all that stuff. Unfortunately, that's not ROH anymore. And you could say the same with Claudio. Well, Claudio was there, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same. It's not the same. I think, the Max off air, we talked about it a little bit, but it's like WWE buying Impact and then AJ winning the title. Yeah. It's just not as meaningful. It's not as whatever. It is under the banner of a big business. But I would love for him to come. I think it would be great. And I think there's also that other side, other part of it, and it goes full circle with what I was talking about with Tony. If you say, hey man, let me get on my contract. I really want to just go wrestle on Impact and just live my life, right? Because that's what I was going to do if I didn't sign with you. The chances of you getting that release are probably slim to none. Look at Brian Cage. The writing was on the wall for him to come to Impact. And, oh, wait, no, I've had an idea for a year for you while I've been making you sit at home. I'm going to extend, I'm going to roll over that extra year for you and put you in ROH. So where what he'll decide to do when he feels like he's put up against the wall, I guess. Or someone's going to leave him to go somewhere else. So Gresham doing the more professional thing here, I guess, and saying he wants to retire. But
I mean, we'll see what happens. I know apparently once again he cussed Tony Khan out. So this wasn't a hey man, can I get my release? This is a go F yourself.
Right.
It would have been hilarious to watch Gresham drag Tony's ass across that arena. And I know we're talking shit about Tony Khan, but I am an AEW fan. I enjoy it. I think the Acclaimed is one of the greatest things in wrestling right now. But unfortunately, nothing's perfect. So I think this is and I agree with you with the ROH thing. No one's going to talk about the great ECW run of Bobby Lashley. Right. Like it's like when you're talking about ECW greats, Bobby Lashley isn't coming into that conversation. So it's a different company now. It's not, and we'll see what it becomes. Obviously, the future could completely change the way things go. But right now, I think that hopefully, I know Gresham deleted his Twitter. He deleted whatever his wrestling companies, I can't think off the top of my head, their Twitter
Terminus.
as well. Terminus, yes. Hopefully he's just kind of taking a break back and stepping back, because obviously I'm sure he got a lot of hate for this stuff as it came out, because unfortunately, as horrible as this sounds, wrestling fans aren't always the most
kind,
racially tolerant fans in the world. Amazing. So I'm sure he got a lot of hate for things that, unfortunately, I understand him being upset. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see him in Impact. Hopefully the Octopus makes a return.
Could you imagine? I'll end it off on this, guys. Well, I'll ask you this question before we go off air. But, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that jazz. 101 on Twitch. That's all we need. 102 before next week. Shout out. I see you there, buddy. Lucha doing well. That's nice to see, man. Thank you to everyone rocking with us. Is it Alexi Paradigm? I don't know if I'm butchering that, but thank you. Good to see you again. Io, T. Hughes, Parkside, Millard, everybody that pops in here. We love you. Thank you. Make sure you get those numbers up for us. Some great things coming, some new shows, some sports things we're excited about, hence the little logo there. But my question to you, Max. First of all, let me do that too. Craig Nixon, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. BST, Talking Bloody Nonsense. They changed the format. They talk about all relevant stuff and hot topics compared to just time-sensitive stuff, so go check that out. Really dope. They're still kicking it. And I don't know if Craig announced it, but I'm still excited. He gives a little hint, at least, on this episode of his next show he's doing. But go check them out, as well as GoGoPowerRankings every Tuesday, 7 p.m., and I'll make sure I update the 12-0. But Max, my question is this. Imagine working for a company and they don't communicate with you. They do everything you just said in the role of, you're the Gresham, right? They shit on you, all this stuff. And then you say, fuck you, boss. You're a piece of shit, right? You've done all this to me. And then all of the people who consume from that company make you run off of Twitter because you disagree with your boss. Crazy world we live in. Crazy world. With that being said, guys, it's a pleasure. This was episode 101. We'll see you at episode 102. Emergence August 18th. Great show coming up for Impact this Thursday, including what is it? Shira versus Josh Alexander. I know that's a definite, but definitely Rich Swann versus Kushida as well. So some good things growing up. Thank you, Millard. Thank you, guys. Max, you got anything you want to say?
Obviously, I'm going to pitch my New Japan plug at the end of the show. Make sure you go check out Jay White's Japanese promo that he cut at the end of his last G1 match. Japanese promo. It's actually really good. So
funny stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you for coming out. Oh wait,
later, guys.
No, dude, I'm off the rails. I got to do it. OCD. There we go. This is the end. All right, guys.
Later, guys.